COVID-19 is taking a mounting toll on mental health in Malaysia. Prolonged lockdowns and growing unemployment are adding to the strain. Melissa Gould reports.
Hi everyone, and hi madam. So our team, we are going to talk about teen suicide. Okay, so suicide, we all are exposed to what is suicide, right? So suicide is not something that can be overlooked. It is the third leading cause of death in today's youth. Along with so many other things in the world today, it can be prevented. I have lost friends and family to suicide and never got a reason for why it happened. I intend to define suicide, explain how common suicidal behaviors are among males and females, and examine the differences in suicidal tendencies between males and females, causes for suicide, and the ways that it can be prevented. So, we all here know many things about suicide, but not enough. What we do know is not being communicated as well as it should. We need to generate far more public awareness of how prevalent a killer suicide really is and of the symptoms of and treatments for depression and the other psychiatric disorders implicated in suicide. Families, schools, teachers, and university administrators all need to learn more and do more. We require a society with its eyes open to this preventable tragedy, a society that does not tolerate the intolerable. So, let's see what my other members got to say about teen suicide.
Now we're moving on to statistics. According to World Health Organization, suicide is the leading cause of death among 15 to 30 years old globally. For every death by suicide, there are 10 to 20 more suicide attempts. A nationally representative study of suicidal behaviors in Malaysia found that younger individuals were at the highest risk of any suicidal behavior such as ideation of thoughts, plans, and attempts, with individuals between the ages of 16 to 24 years being 4.8 times more likely to attempt suicide compared to individuals who are 65 years and above. This is especially prevalent as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. In 2020, as a result of COVID-19, Movement Control Order or MCO has been imposed nationwide, which has resulted in an increase in mental health issues amongst Malaysians. A survey carried out during the MCO period found that 48% and 45% of respondents had reported high levels of anxiety and depression respectively, and there has been a significant increase in the use of emotional support hotline services in the country. In 2020, 40% of callers between January to July expressed suicidal thoughts, compared to only 34% in 2019. According to the Ministry of Health, a total of 465 suicide attempt cases received treatment in Ministry of Health hospitals between January to June 2020. Between the start of the MCO in 18th of March 2020 to 30th of October 2020, a total of 266 people has died by suicide, equivalent to around 30 suicides per month. About 1 in 4 of these preventable deaths were adolescents between the ages of 15 and 18 years old. The reasons given for ending their lives included debt issues, family and marriage problems, relationship breakdowns, and work pressures. There is actually a lack of comprehensive quality data on the prevalence of suicide in Malaysia. Official statistics are limited to the data published by the National Suicide Registry Malaysia or NSRM, which was active from 2007 to 2009. The statistics are likely to be an underestimate of the true rate of suicide, as suicide are often classified as undetermined. A death is ruled as a suicide only when there is abundantly clear evidence of the deceased's intention of suicide. The true suicide rate is estimated to be approximately 8 times higher than the rate of official certified suicides. Based on the National Suicide Registry in Malaysia that was active from 2007 to 2009, the suicide rate was highest among individuals aged between 20 to 29 years. In lieu of local suicide statistics, WHO Global Health Estimates published suicide estimates in Malaysia based on previous data collected by the NSRM and the prevalence rate in other Asian countries. The 2016 crude suicide rates per 100,000 population in Malaysia is 5.5 per 100,000, with a higher suicide rate among males with 7.6 than females with 3.1.
Now, indeed, this pandemic has hit everyone hard, especially from the lower income groups. The lockdown and the subsequent isolation are worst enemies for depression that saw over 400 people ended their lives tragically in the first 5 months of this year.
Now we're moving on to causes. Most studies agree that suicide is closely linked to mental disorders. About 90% of people who commit suicide have suffered from at least one mental disorder. Mental disorders are found to contribute between 47 and 74% of suicide risks. Affective disorder is the disorder most frequently found in this context. Criteria for depression were found in 50 to 65% of suicide cases, more often among females than males. Next up, the next biggest contributor to suicide is associated with impulsivity. Although we know that a suicidal process can take weeks, months, or even years, the fatal transition from suicidal ideation and suicide attempts to an actual completed suicide often occurs suddenly, unexpectedly, and impulsively, especially among adolescents. Difficulties in managing the various often strong and mixed emotions and mood fluctuations accompanying the confrontation with new and ever-changing challenges in different domains is another risk factor for youth suicide. Lastly, probably one of the most biggest cause of suicide is one of the most important sources of support with addressing the many challenges of youth is the family context in which young people live or have grown up. Several risk factors concerning family structure and processes have been linked to suicide behavior in numerous studies. It is estimated that in 50% of youth suicide cases, family factors are involved. Although it is not clear whether these disorders directly influence the suicidal behavior of the child, or rather do so indirectly, the mental disorders evoke in the child as a result of his family context.
That thought, I was very scared because I didn't expect that I could think about suicide. And soon afterwards, because I wasn't able to brush it off, the thoughts kept coming back to me repeatedly, and from being scared with it, I started to be comforted with the thought of dying.
Suicide and suicide attempt cause serious emotional, physical, and economic impact. People who attempt suicide and survive may experience serious injuries that can have long-term effects on their health. They may also experience depression and other mental health concerns. Suicide and suicide attempt affects the health and well-being of friends, loved ones, co-workers, and the community. When people die by suicide, their surviving family and friends may experience shock, anger, guilty, symptoms of depression or anxiety, and may even experience thought of suicide themselves. Thank you.
The World Health Organization estimates that suicide is the leading cause of deaths globally among 15 to 30-year-olds. A recent report by the Institute for Democracy and Economic Affairs, or IDEAS, and Relate Malaysia found that there has been an increase in youth suicide in Malaysia, but very little has been done to address the issue.
So hi everyone, next we are moving on to how to prevent suicide. So first thing and foremost, us as society, we gotta be ourselves. Be ourselves in the meaning of let the people know around you, let the people around you know, your loved ones, that you're always there for them. Like, you gotta show your concern, so when the time comes for them for opening up to you, they will feel comfortable without having any barrier between both of you. And next would be listening. Listening is very important, is a very important fact as well. If a person is trying to communicate with you, you first gotta listen. You don't like snap them out and just like cut them off and you all of a sudden be the main character saying that, oh, I have even went through this, it's not that serious, I don't know why you're reacting like this, but even something like this happened to me, and then talk about your own story. Please don't do that. Just listen to them, what they're going through, and be there for them. And at the end, if you want to say anything, you may say. That's totally fine. And thirdly is that take the person seriously. A suicidal person, you don't know what action they would take next. They would go any extent.
So if they say that they're depressed or even give you a slightest bit of hints of suicide, you gotta take the person seriously. You don't be like, oh, that person is dramatic, they won't do such stuff, they aren't brave to do that stuff. Don't say that. Just be with them and be cautious about every single action that they take. So yeah, we gotta be there for them because it's our responsibility to be there for our loved ones. And last but not the least, be sympathetic and non-judgmental. If they're sharing your problems, don't be like, this person is dramatic and all. Just don't do that. Just be there for them. So that is all from me. Thank you.